Welcome back, everyone. And in today's episode, we're going to speak on the good old fashioned opening up your own tattoo shop idea. All right. Now, before you get a wild hair up your ass and open up your own tattoo shop, keep these thoughts in mind. All right. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of all of this. I know there's some videos out there that give you an explanation, but let's dive deeper in this video. So, when opening up a tattoo shop, it doesn't matter how small it is, how big, whatever the case may be, but I'm gonna give you the bare minimum, all right? The bare minimum, the amount, the supplies, overall what you'll need, okay? Obviously, you'll go ahead and you'll need your tattoo machine, and this is no plug or anything else like that, but I personally recommend the Ambition. Doesn't matter what it is, right? Doesn't matter if it's Soldier, doesn't matter if it is the Mars U, doesn't matter, okay? So there's that. And another thing you'll need, obviously, this common sense part, is ink. Right? You can't tattoo without tattoo ink. There we go. Also, you'll need stencil paper, which you could get on Amazon, and as well as the ink you get on Amazon. The tattoo machine, ink you get on Amazon. So there's a lot of items that you could get off Amazon. I believe there's not a single thing that you can't get off of there. Another item that I highly recommend, once again, none of this is a plug, but sponsors, feel free, is Ink Ease. All right, I prefer this 100%. It helps the needle glide over the skin better, and it creates more of a cooling sensation when slapping it on the individual when doing that tattoo. So there's that. Another thing that I recommend highly, because once again, we don't do bullshit on this channel. I'm just going to give you the straightforward information and what my personal preferences are. Not going to feed you nonsense bullshit. All right, so stencil stuff. All right, let that kind of focus a little bit. Fuck it. All right, so we have stencil stuff. Obviously, the ink that I use as a black and gray tattoo artist is Dynamic Black. Nothing like it. All right, Dynamic, in my personal opinion, is the best ink that you could get for the artwork that I do, which I just informed you on, black and gray. There's also hand sanitizer as well. I use Dynamic hand sanitizer. I'll just show you the bottle. Obviously, close to being out for this bottle considering how much I use it, but very simple, straightforward. All right. So there's that. Green soap. I recommend that. All right. So obviously, just the bottle, green soap. Slap it back over there. And obviously, you'll need your paper towels. You'll need gloves. So there's that. And it doesn't even matter if it's the see-through gloves, right? Doesn't matter. As long as it's like, probably like latex free and stuff like that. And also get gloves. This is important, guys, all right? This is highly skipped over considering how straightforward it is, right? But this might just completely over a person's mind, okay? Get some gloves that actually fucking fit you, okay? That's important. It might seem tedious and kind of like, whatever. But no, seriously. Do not let your ego get the best of you. If you have large hands, don't get an XL glove. don't do it, all right? Because that damn glove is gonna be sticking out like this much, okay? And that's gonna it's gonna affect the way you tattoo. So you need to get gloves that actually fit firmly on your hands. So that way when you're tattooing, there's no issues that arise out of just simply your gloves being a little too big. That's a stupid reason why to go ahead and fuck up on a tattoo. So there's all of that. Also, make sure you have obviously the simple stuff, you know, paper, pens, that way you could draw up some stuff if need be. And then you have other items that I would consider that would be beneficial to have. It's not necessarily something that you need, but it's beneficial, okay? And that is go ahead and grab yourself a tablet, all right? Grab yourself one of these bitches, all right? And get Procreate. I'll say it again, get Procreate. It will help the process of your designing tattoos a lot easier. And to be honest, there's really not too much of a learning curve behind it. So I highly recommend that, highly. And I would say this one is not an option, right? Get yourself a stencil printer. And obviously get yourself a printer as well, a regular printer. But stencil printer and printer, must have, right? Let's see here if I'm missing out on anything else. Obviously get yourself folders so that way you can keep client documentation properly organized, so that way when you have routine inspections, probably from your local city, there you go, your city inspector or whatever the case may be, you'll have all that information ready for him. Obviously, more than likely, he's not gonna go ahead and scan through every document or anything else like that. My personal experience, they'll just go ahead and scan just to make sure that you got all the documentation that's needed. And then they pretty much bullshit with you and leave, okay? So also, make sure you have sanitation wipes, okay? It's very important. I'll go ahead, I'll show you guys. Okay, I personally like to go with this Cabbie wipes, all right? I like to go with the giant container of them, and great product all around. So there's that. I also recommend plastic wipes, okay? And it could be something very simple, right? Well, not plastic wipes, plastic wrap. Let me clarify on that. Because once again, I'm not gonna steer you guys wrong. Simple, right? Great value plastic wraps. You know, you get 200 square feet of it. And that right there goes ahead and will last you a decent amount of time, okay? So there's that. And that helps obviously wrap the tattoo after you get done with your piece. Some normal tape, or probably wouldn't say normal tape. I would say some like medical tape, so that way it's really sticky. So that when you get done wrapping the tattoo, you can go ahead and slap some medical tape on there. There you go, done. Let's see here. And then obviously this is gonna vary from city to city, state to state, whatever your rules and regulations are. I don't know everyone's rules and regulations, just what I had to go through being in Illinois. Okay, so one thing I would say about the county that I live in is when it came down to starting up a tattoo shop, there was a few things that was needed, some admin related stuff, right? So we had to have, I believe it was like 2 or 3 documents in regards to like hygiene. What do you do when a tattoo gets infected, or if there's something wrong, or if the client has questions or concerns. So you needed a document about that. You needed a bloodborne document, and all this has to be like framed. Okay, so once again, in my county, you needed to have it up on the wall, so that way when the client first walks in to get a tattoo, they could clearly see it. It's not like anybody really gives two shits about looking for that document, but nonetheless, it's mandatory. At least here it is. There's also a give out sheet, and so that way the client could follow step by step as to how to take care of their tattoo properly. So there's that document that you have to print out, and once again, check with your city, state to go ahead and find out exactly what you need there. You don't want any surprises when being like, oh, I want to open up my own tattoo shop. And then you get hit with all of this information that is very difficult to find on the web, and it's tedious, it's time consuming. So I'm trying to save you guys as much time as possible and less embarrassment and hassle behind all of this entire process. So don't think that starting up a tattoo shop is straightforward and very easy. I'll say that it's not difficult, but you do have to do your research, thorough research, have proper documentation per state, city, county guidelines, all that, and make sure that you follow by it step by step. Okay. And when I had my inspection for my tattoo shop, we had a health inspector come out, and they reviewed all of my documentation, made sure that I had all the materials that I informed you guys about, as well as there were certain statutes that I had to have printed out and stored away inside of a document. And that had a lot of basic information, right? As a tattoo artist, you know about all this. How do you set up doing when you're getting ready to do a tattoo? What's the after steps that you take after conducting your tattoo? What's the information you provide to the client afterwards? Basic stuff, okay? What do you do in the case of an unfortunate event of blood spilling everywhere, which shouldn't happen, right? So there's all these basic rules, and if you don't find them basic, then that's okay. That means you're just starting in this game, and it's just more learning for you to do, which is never a bad thing. We continue learning, and that's how we get better. So if you don't know about all that information, then I highly advise you to do your research and learn about that. Because if I went over all that shit, 100%, this would easily be like a 30, 45 minute video, which takes long as fuck to upload. So there's that. Let's see. When the inspector came to my tattoo shop, he wanted to see those documents, okay? The next thing he wanted to know is, how did you learn how to tattoo? Who did you apprentice under? How long did you apprentice for? So there's that information. And then the next thing that he wanted to see, after all of that documentation, obviously he looks around, make sure that you have your exit safety set up and so on and so forth. So there's that. There's also a package that I had to send the health officer as well. And that included like the layout of my tattoo shop, as well as the basic information that I informed you guys on of like how to conduct a tattoo, what would be the process, blah, blah, blah. And then we went to my station. I had I had 5 stations, okay? I had to count for a second, damn. But I have 5 stations in there. So obviously per regulations, guidelines, depending on where you live, this varies, blah, blah, blah. And I needed 1 sink in there per 6 stations. So there's all that. And then when we went into my office where I go ahead and tattoo and everything, they just simply had me set up like how I was gonna go ahead and do a tattoo. All right. So they want you to start from absolute scratch. Once again, at least in my county, they didn't want everything pre-set up. They want to know that you know exactly what you're doing. So that meant, even though a client wasn't there, and honestly, I probably don't recommend for a client to be there during this entire process because it's kind of a waste of the client's time, and yeah, so there's all of that. But that's all you do, is you set up your entire station, obviously put on your glove, obviously, all of that shit. Wash your hands first and everything else like that. You put on your gloves, wrap up all of your items that you're going to be using while tattooing. Let's see here. Obviously, wrap the part of your chair and everything else like that the client's going to be resting on in order to get tattooed. So if it's going to be their arm, it's going to be their armrest that you wrap, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then they also want to see the breakdown phase of it all. It seems like a lot, guys, but I promise you, when you're at that stage and you're in the moment, it's really not that much of a hassle. And if it's your first time starting up a tattoo shop, you might be a little nervous at first, but just have confidence in yourself. You know how to complete tattoos. You know the steps of health and safety. More than likely, you have your bloodborne pathogen certification. And if you don't, get that. Depending on the state and city you live in, you'll have to be licensed as a tattoo artist, so get that. But overall, you're ready for this. You put your mind to it, and now you're ready to go. Simple as that. Now it's just time for you to succeed in this. After the inspection was done, because that was literally it, he informed me that I could either pay right there or pay online, whatever the case may be, in order to get my shop's license. And then, boom, I just paid him up front, got my license, there you go. Was able to start operating, and the rest is history. So that's just to let you guys know on the process, the steps and the steps, I should say, of starting a tattoo shop. And I hope that everyone stayed throughout this entire video, because it's very important to hear this entire process and all of these steps that are behind this, because I guarantee that it's going to be very difficult to find all of this information just laying out there. You really have to dig to know all of this information. And that's exactly what I had to do. I'm a individual that loves to do research and is always about learning new things. So even I had to dig to find all this information, and it was still a learning process. But at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We continue learning, we continue growing, and we make shit happen. So that's all I have. Until next time, take care, everyone.